You know who this nigga look like? Fucking Dricus Duplessis after his fucking Sean Strickland fight. Beat the fuck up. Alright, let's get into it. Mom holds HIV positive husband at gunpoint when she finds him raping her 12-year-old daughter. What the fuck? I didn't see all that when I clicked the shit. Okay, let's get into it.
Baseball coach is under
That's
arrest
crazy
after a
as
woman
fuck.
says she caught him in the act of sexually assaulting her daughter in her own home. We're digging into this wild case with renowned predator catcher Chris Hansen. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law and Crime.
Oh shit.
I'm Jesse Weber.
This was a Chris Hansen
Right,
job?
I want to warn you that what we are about to talk about is extremely disturbing. I can't
this shit is
emphasize that enough. But with that warning, here we go. A man is accused of raping his own stepdaughter, and the abuse allegedly started when she was 11. Earlier this month, 39-year-old Donovan Scott Shepard, a coach for the youth baseball team Oklahoma Aftermath, was out at a bar in Moore, Oklahoma. And that's when he allegedly got into a fight. According to police, his wife came to pick him up, took him home to Oklahoma City. And according to an affidavit, the woman went to bed, but Shepard didn't. She went looking for him, entered her daughter's bedroom, and that is when she told police she saw him raping her 12-year-old daughter, again, Shepard's stepdaughter. The woman actually held Shepard up at gunpoint until the police got there, believe that.
Held him up. Held him up. Held him up. All right. I'm not the mother, and I get it. If it, I get it. You don't want your kids seeing that shit, but shit, I would have told that nigga, yeah, come on, you got want me outside, cuz I'm gonna have to put your ass down, nigga. I gotta put you down. Ain't no way. Gotta put you down. Fuck no, bro. Oh my god, I fucking hate. Look. Real shit, this is why you don't shake everybody's hand. You cannot shake everybody's hand. Cause you never know how fucking weird niggas are behind closed doors. Like when I say I truly, like, I don't dislike everybody. But I like people, but I don't like certain people. Like my friend group is super small. Because nigga, I don't know what this nigga's doing behind closed doors. I don't know what this nigga's doing behind closed doors. And say you shake that nigga's hand, you think he's a stand up guy, and he does shit like this, bro.
It's even more horrifying. When Shepard was arrested, police say both Shepard and his wife told them that Shepard was HIV positive. When police later interviewed this young girl, she told them that Shepard raped her and that this wasn't the first time this had happened. No, she told authorities she was attacked 6 times starting when she was 11 and claims that he even assaulted her on her 12th birthday. Shepard is facing a huge list of felony charges: 4 counts of rape, 2 counts of lewd molestation, 1 count of pattern of criminal offenses, and 1 count of exposing others to AIDS. By last look, he's being held on a $500,000 bond, and now we're going to talk about it.
Real shit. These cases like this, like, people be talking about, like, people getting astronomical amount of years on their prison sentences. These are the cases we need to give that shit to, bro. The death penalty is a sticky situation, but I feel like some people fucking deserve that shit, bro. It's just like, I don't know, bro. For some, like, people, it's people in that bitch that fucking deserve to be in there. That deserve to be in there. Oh my goodness. This shit is crazy, bro.
Let me bring in Renowned journalist, predator catcher Chris Hansen, host of Takedown on True Blue. You can check it out at watchtrueblue.com. And also, he's the host of the podcast Predators I've Caught with Chris Hansen. Chris, so good to see you. Thank you so much for coming here on Sidebar. My gosh, this one, huh?
You can't make that up, Jesse. Thank you for having me. I wish it was on a little cheerier subject, but that's not why you have me on typically. So,
no, I mean, I would love to have you on to talk about something else, but yeah, this
maybe
is just horrifying.
Sometime. But this thing is, it just takes predatory behavior to a whole horrifying level. I mean, think about this. This guy is HIV positive. He knows that, and he, in spite of that, he engages in this relationship, horrifying as that is in and of itself, with his underage stepdaughter. It's mind-boggling to think about what was going on in his mind that allowed him to do this. I mean, it shocks the conscience on every level.
I wanted to ask you, Chris, in your experience, in the cases that you've covered, that stepfather, stepdaughter dynamic, do you see that a lot in your experience, and what does that tell you?
Here's what we see. Oftentimes, these fantasies played out on porn sites, you then see in real life. We just finished a sting, Jesse, this past week in Alabama, and we use this scenario in other states as well. It's not, exclusive to Alabama, where a mother is selling her daughter for sex. And it is consistently something that predators will want to engage in. And we had a case just last Thursday night. A man showed up after negotiating with someone posing as a child's mother to meet and have sex with a teenager. We've also seen it on the other side, where a guy traveled from Indiana to Ohio to meet with sheriff's department decoys posing as a father and daughter to have sex with a 13-year-old girl. So,
and I want to say, like, first of all, I'm giving insight from I've had experiences with this, not by a male, but I was when I was a little kid. It was my god sister at the time, and what I like to say is, they like Chris Hansen and the predator catchers on YouTube and stuff. They be catching predators that they go out their way to get young girls or young boys, and that go out their way and travel to do this shit. Just think how many people do that shit at home. Have little kids at home. Think if the mother would have never caught him. That shit is fucking crazy. That shit is fucking disgusting. Bro. Real shit. Real shit. Sometimes I be swaying with the death penalty. But sometimes that shit is like, I don't know. I feel like it should be real special cases. Real, like,
There is this fantasy in the porn culture out there. And I think when these guys who are predisposed to this activity anyway get all caught up in the porn part of it, suddenly watching it doesn't fulfill their fantasy. And they cross this line, Jesse, between fantasy and reality. And that's when they show up at our door, or in this case, they commit this horrific crime.
That's a really good point. I didn't even think about that. I always assumed, and maybe it was the wrong way to assume, and we still don't know the more details about this. He is innocent until proven guilty. But the thing is, I have always been curious that whether or not you have people who get into relationships with somebody in order to target
guilty,
nigga.
Fuck that
nigga. In that household. Have
well, I think that happens too. I think historically, when I break down these predators into categories, one of the categories is the guy who's a hardcore predator no matter what. And these guys will be the bad little league coach, the bad scoutmaster, the guy who shows up at the food court at the mall looking for opportunity, the guy who may, in some extreme cases, be the guy who marries a woman who's got a stepdaughter to get at the stepdaughter.
That's what I'm saying. Think about that shit. This nigga's living in your crib. This nigga's living in your crib. You feel me? He's not being caught. He's not going out of the way, you know? That shit scary as fuck. That shit scary as fuck. And bro, this shit teaches you and like you really don't know. You really could like not understand who the fuck you have in your home or who you're talking to. Like, and I feel like it's a problem with fucking pop culture, bro. It's a problem with pop culture. Think about this shit. Fucking 40-year-old niggas fucking with 18-year-old girls. 40-year-old rappers fucking with these little ass girls. Fuck is wrong with it? Wrong with these niggas, man? Fucking Lil Boosie. This nigga's damn near 50 years old in the little swipe shit. Talking about it's girls 20 years old. That's young as fuck. That's 20 fucking years between them, nigga. That's fucking disgusting. Maybe it's just me. But, bro, that shit's nasty, bro. Shorty's a little fucking kid. Bro, I feel like once you get to a certain age, bro, you should not be fucking with anything, any woman or any human under the age of 25. You break in the 45, the 45 range and up. You feel me? Bro, anything under 25, you're fucking weird. You're fucking weird, cuz. Real shit.
This happens. Now, you know, how rare it is or how many times it happens, I can't tell you. But I do know that it happens. And we have seen this scenario play out before. We caught a guy in a predator investigation once who had been busted for abusing children who he met in one of those programs to be a foster father, on a Saturday, take the kids to the ball game. And he went through an entire family and sexually assaulted 3 of the kids in the family, boys and girls. And here he is at a predator sting. So it is a pattern. It does happen. Hopefully it's as rare as it would appear to be by, the cases that you and I see, but it does happen that way.
Yeah. So this story is incredibly unsettling. It's just a reminder of how the world is unpredictable and not the safest, which leads me into talking about our great partner and sponsor here on Sidebar, Morgan & Morgan. Because if you get really hurt in this world...
I just got hit with the same fucking ad in another bit.
That took place from 2022 to 2024.
The time the girl was 11 years old.
Yeah, what does that tell you?
Well, it tells you that he's a stone cold pedophile predator.
Yeah.
There are guys who try to take advantage of kids in their late teens, wrong, often illegal. But this guy specifically was targeting somebody who was very young, prepubescent probably, and very vulnerable. And these are the worst of the worst predators we see.
And I will tell you, I think one of the most interesting witnesses, because in the information, the charging document, they have one of the witnesses is the doctor from the children's hospital that I feel could be one of the most important witnesses if you're trying to understand exactly what happened here, right?
Exactly. And we see this in many cases. We had a situation in Michigan where a guy met a 12-year-old girl on Instagram and groomed her for a period of weeks, flew up from Florida, convinced her to climb out of her family's bedroom window, meet him in a church parking lot, took her to a hotel, offered her money and other things that a 12-year-old girl would like, and sexually assaulted her to the point where she needed to be treated in an emergency room. And it was the treating physician there who alerted authorities, which worked this investigation into motion. And it turns out the guy they arrested in Florida had admitted to doing this 2 other times in other states. So this wasn't just a one off. But it's, again, it goes back to, I mean, these are 2 different cases in that one was a stranger and one was somebody known to the child. But, you need to be vigilant. You need to have this discussion with children. But this one, the case we're talking about today, it takes it to a whole different level.
Yeah.
I mean, not only the act of it being so horrific, offensive, and just to ruin a child. And imagine the therapy that child's got to go through to get over this, and then you put the HIV on top of it. It's unimaginable, really.
Yeah, it's unthinkable. But again, I think for prove this case, the fact that you have the doctor who's able to document the forensics of this is going to be huge. The aspect of this that the wife was holding him at gunpoint until the police came. Have you ever seen anything like that?
No, that's a first. And obviously that would indicate this wasn't one of those situations where the mother was somehow complicit or looked the other way or didn't want to face the reality of it when she did find out. And oftentimes these extreme cases, as rare as they are, nobody wants to believe it. Nobody would suspect another human being of committing such an atrocity. So they're not,
like, I feel as though, like, me as a person, I love people. And I love people to the point where have an underlying doubt in people, like automatically a doubt. Cause like back to the point, like you never know who you're talking to. Even with people that like, that's why I don't idolize folks. Cause I don't idolize people, but I idolize their accolades and what they have achieved in life and their forthcomings, the greatness they achieve, not the actual person. Cause you don't know what the fuck they did behind them closed doors. Shit's fucking crazy.
not looking for it, so they don't see it. But when she did see it, to hold him at gunpoint would indicate to me, in terms of doing the criminal math here, that this is the first time she found out about it.
And the fact that he's a youth baseball coach, I mean, what does that tell you?
Well, it tells me that one of the reasons he's a youth baseball coach is to be exposed to children.
Yeah.
And to have access to children. And if he's doing this to his own stepdaughter, what has he done with other kids in his care who've been in his company? And to me, this would signal the need for a much larger, expansive investigation. And I'd be shocked if we didn't find some other, act here, some criminal act.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah.
Bro, speaking of coaches and shit, bro, it's a dude. I don't want to put any of my information out there. Well, it's a dude that coaches. Well, he's not even a fucking coach. He's not even a fucking coach. He goes around wrestling tournaments, right? He goes around wrestling tournaments and finds little white kids that he thinks will be good in wrestling, right? And will follow them around. And there's been like in the wrestling community, there's been like speculation about him. Like, well, not even speculation, fact that he's a fucking weirdo. But like for the family and stuff, it'd be hard. Bro, if I ever see that nigga, it's just like that nigga fucking like, you such a bitch. You such a bitch.
There could be. It makes me wonder if other people would come forward if they have information
Well,
about him.
I think typically once somebody has, the courage to come forward, you see others do the same thing.
Yeah.
And so it would not surprise me one bit if you saw other people come forward.
I want to leave on this statistic and get your final thoughts on it. So, according to the National Center for Victims of Crime, approximately 1 in 5 girls are the victims of child sex abuse. That is in relation or in contrast to 1 in 20 boys who are the victims of child sexual abuse. And it mentions that during a 1-year period in the United States, 16% of those between the ages of 14 and 17 have been sexually abused. And throughout an entire lifetime, 28% of U.S. youth between 14 and 17 have been sexually abused. And again, we're talking about somebody who is younger than this. We're talking about somebody who, by all accounts, if this wasn't detected by the wife, this probably would have continued, allegedly continued. But just when you think about that stats and you think about how often we're talking about these kinds of things, just want to give you the final thoughts on it.
This is why we do those stories. This is why we continue to expose these deeds and to try to catch these people before they actually harm a child. Now, have they harmed a child before they show up in our investigations? Maybe, potentially. And in some cases, I think it's probable. But the more we have parents talking about this, especially in this internet age where kids are exposed to all kinds of things for the first time, at a very young age, it's the dialogue. It's starting to talk to your child at the very moment they become active on the internet to say, look, there are adults who want to trick you. And no matter what happens or how foolish you feel, you can come to me and you're not going to get into trouble. This goes back 20 years, Jesse, to the first time we interviewed a bunch of middle schoolers about the predator investigations. We showed them video. They thought it was actors. They didn't think it was real. And I asked them, I said, how many of you have been approached by an adult online and it made you uncomfortable? All of them raised their hand, about 8 of them. I said, how many of you told your parents? 2. I said, why not? We didn't want them to take away the internet. That still applies today. You have to make this, whether it's sextortion or whether it's this kind of a crime, whether it's in the home, whether it's on the internet, you have to create an environment where a child can come forward and say, hey, mom, hey, dad, I don't feel so good about this. And you can't, yell at the messenger here. You can't blame them. You got to listen to them and you got to help them. That's our job.
Well said. So well said, Chris.
And like this is the end of it. But me expanding on this, like me being younger, dealing with it doesn't, like, how was I? So I was in like the second or first grade, because this is when we were living in Raleigh. But it'd be hard to tell your parents, especially with me being so young, because I didn't fully understand what was happening. So I didn't understand how to articulate that to my parent or my sister or brother at the time. And with it being someone in your household that you believe you could trust and confide in or seek refuge with them, you feel comfortable with them, it's even harder. It's even harder to come out and say shit about them. That shit is sad. Yeah. He's the guy who should never be released from prison. Absolute monster. Bro. The self control of the mother in that situation is amazing. Real shit. I'm gonna catch you on the next one.